Worksop! Come on, Worksop!
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Tiger Talk, the official podcast of Worksop Town Football Club. It's episode 12 and again, it's another positive one. Joining me today and his first one in a while is Michael Hothersall. Michael, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Are you?
Yeah, ish. Seeing as Michael's on, it's probably a great time to tell you that the Tigers View is out now from Tuesday night's victory. And if you haven't watched it yet, go and do it after this podcast, obviously, because it's fantastic. Here's what's coming on today's show. We're going to review the 3-2 victory over Pickering Town before discussing the victory over Yorkshire Amateur on Tuesday night, as mentioned. We'll also preview the game against Dunston that's coming up on Saturday. A nice long road trip that we've got ahead. You might be listening to this podcast on the way up. So, you know, well, hopefully we won't make you turn round. And then we'll also preview the Sheffield Senior Cup semi-final against Rossington Main next Tuesday. So let's get into it.
Something tells me I'm into something. Something tells me I'm into something. Woke up this morning feeling fine.
So starting with Saturday's game, Worksop Town 3-2 Pickering Town at the Windsor Food Service Stadium. Obviously, Jack Broadhead got the headlines for his hat-trick, his career first, as he told us after in the clubhouse. Let's start with the first half, Michael, because it was, you know, the first 20 minutes or so, it felt like a sluggish start for the Tigers. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was. And Pickering did come out fighting. They looked a completely different team compared to when we played them away. So like much bigger fighters in the game. Made us react. It wasn't an easy game considering where they are in table. But I think it just showed that team spirit again. So, but yeah, the first half, it's been a similar sort of theme with quite a few games of the first halves. Sometimes it does take us a little bit more time to kind of get us into the game, but once we're in it, we do look so good attacking, but also defensive as well. Very disciplined at the minute. I don't think the goals that we're conceding necessarily reflect the defensive performance, because I feel like that it's a really strong back four at the minute, especially with the addition of Danny Burns and the partnership him and Watto are currently shaping, and also Pico moving to the right as well. I think there's been quite a few different changes like this, and I think it is starting to click now. And even though performances, first half wasn't amazing, but we're still grinding out results, and I think that's the main thing, really.
I think you need that. It's always a good attribute to have as a side. Anyway, and like you mentioned, we did start a bit poor. I think we were second to most things. You know, not picking up second balls, and just overall, it has been that common trend. But as you mentioned, as soon as the Tigers can sort of turn it on, you can beat anyone on his day, and as we saw that the other night as well. Yeah. To hone in on more of the goal scorer, Jack Broadhead, there were 3 great headers, weren't there?
Yeah, I think the set pieces were really good on Saturday, and it's good to see Jack getting more involved in that side as well, because obviously he's a big lad. He's got that aerial threat, so now he's getting into the right positions. We are utilising him really well. But I also think that's good in contrast to obviously Danny Burns, Pico, and Watto as well, because we've got some really good aerial threats there. So on set pieces, it will be hard for opposition defences to defend against, because you have got numerous threats and not just a couple. So I think Jack getting into the right positions, especially some was like back post or head-ons. Like he was good that he had that sort of instinct to get to the right position and score the goal. And yeah, I was really chuffed with him because he has really come on this season. He's becoming a key figure within the team now. So yeah,
his second goal was my favourite of the three, just because of obviously Maka got down the line. Pico got down the line, fed in Maka. Maka had that sort of half a second to sort of pull the defender and make the defender think that he was going to take it. Then he didn't. He waited a second extra, put a lovely chip ball into the middle, and obviously Broadhead got up and over it, which is quite hard to do sometimes. You can often see when you're coming down on it, it often normally flicks it over, but Broadhead's done that twice now. He did that against Dunston in the FA Trophy, and it was just really pleasing to see. And eventually, when we got that winner, we could have, seen it out and had more if Liam Hardy would have had scored those two early chances, which on another day probably would have. It just wasn't his day.
Yeah.
And then it felt strange because then that last half an hour. We controlled it. We as game management was spot on.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have to break a sweat, Michael.
Yeah, I think at some point in the last 10 minutes, we had about 5 minutes in the opposition's half where we were just passing the ball, being disciplined, taking it to the corners, and not letting them break on the counter attack. Because we have seen it a couple of times this season where we've just not managed the game, we've not kept the ball, and it just invites the opposition on. So actually seeing it on Saturday where we can just defend the win, and I thought it was one of the best closing of a game I've seen this season. Anyway, just with how brave the players were, and also we didn't make that many subs as well. So to go all that length and for that long, especially with the period that we're coming on, it's really good to see, because you can see the boys really want to pick up the points now, and that's what's coming out. So
we're going to bring up a point about team spirit, which is what Paz also brought up. So let's hear from Craig Parry and the goal scorer, or I should say triple goal scorer, Jack Broadhead.
So Paz, a 3-2 victory over Pickering Town. Obviously a frantic game. What were your thoughts on the overall performance from your side?
Poor today. We've got to hold his hands up and say we're poor performance, but we've taken his chances. Well, I say take his chances. We missed some quite easy chances in the second half. Not normally like us really, but we just weren't here today. We just weren't at the races. Second to everything. Fair play to Pickering. I said it last week. I said it in my programme notes. These are the games I fear, and these are the games that that trouble us. And today were disappointing. Obviously, I'm pleased with the result, but disappointing with the performance, because we just lacked energy. It just wasn't us today.
Was there anything else in that first half an hour that displeased you, like you say?
We just couldn't get going. We couldn't, everything we were doing was slow. The tempo was slow. We obviously tried to get the balls and get the things moving on and off the pitch pretty quick. We couldn't do that. The quality of the play, simple touches, simple passes weren't good. It just wasn't us. We didn't really create them any problems apart from the set plays. And I just thought we were lethargic, lacked a bit of energy. Maybe the last games took quite a lot out of us, but I can't really use that as an excuse, because we've had plenty of time to rest. I think we're just one of those days where I think every team has it, and I think we've had it today. But lucky enough for us, we've come out with 3 points. Normally, when you have an off day, you normally come away with 0. But lucky enough for us today, we've come away with 3.
As you mentioned, then 3 points vital, especially against potential banana skin, considering the placements of the teams. Yeah, definitely, 100%. And that was the message to lads here today. But you've got to give credit to Pickering. They've got some good players in there, some good young lads, plenty of pace, in the side as well. And they cause teams problems, and don't take the league table
You know, I've said it before. This league's quite competitive. You look at these today. These have gave us a good run for us money than any team recently have. So fair play to them. And like I said, yeah, potential banana skin, but not in my mind. I always feared today's game.
Obviously, the game changer was Jack Broadhead with his headers. What are your thoughts on his performance?
Well, he's lucky to be on the pitch the second half, and I'm telling you now what I told him at half time. I thought he was poor first half. Him and Alex were nowhere near the second balls. I had to take our best player off. That our best player on the pitch first half. Cody was only the one that wanted to get on the ball and move it, and did get on the ball and move it. But obviously, I'm sure we're going to the referee. I had to take him off at half time, protect the side, because I think quickly we could have gone down to 10 men. So really, I think probably Jack has to he's probably the only player that has to go into the referee's room today and shake his hand, because if it wouldn't have been for us being on edge thinking we're going to get someone sent off, he'd have been off and he'd have been sat next to me the second half.
On the flip side though, having that height in there as well as like Danny Burns and what are these players that can win headers, especially when it's on a knife edge and things are not going your way, normally Hardy would probably bag them too. Yeah. It's a good tool to have. Yeah,
I think I've heard a couple of managers say it now. Obviously, every last couple of games we either land at giants. Really, we are a big side. I like a competitive, strong, big side, and it helps in both boxes, and it's helped in both boxes for the last 2 games. Really, you think about it, and at the end there, it helps. But 3 goals from Jack and the other set players probably could have scored more goals from other things in there. So yeah, the height's helping us in certain situations. It's allowing us to go direct in certain situations, but yeah, we can't just rely on that.
You also meant one player that will be missing in a couple of weeks, Alex Starchenko. How disappointing will it be not to have him to pick from now after his red card?
Well, again, we're lucky enough to have players on the bench to be able to hopefully not miss Alex, but he's been a vital player for us. He does give opportunities now to other players in them positions, so they've got to come in now and take the chances, and we'll have to look at it from there. But I think both sending offs, if I'm honest, I think we're just poor. I just think poor. I think the referee will hold his hands up. He lost complete control of the game early doors, really, as well. And to be fair, I actually quite get on with him. He's actually a decent fella. But I think today, for both sides, I've got to admit, I think he lost both decisions. And today on Alex, I think both neither cards were red.
After an eventful 3-2 victory today, what was your take on the game?
I thought we were poor. To be fair, we were poor from start to finish. We started sluggish. Don't know why that was. We've played well recently, and the Cleethorpes game, sort of second half, and the Frickley game, sort of ground out a 1-0 win there. Probably looked a bit frail. They played through us a bit too easily. Looking at sort of the back line, and as a midfield unit, we felt a bit disjointed. The gaffer, obviously, at half time gave us a bit of a telling off and made a few changes, and just to try and shore things up, I think, and gave a bit of a telling off to myself, and the back 4, it's not the standards we accept, and we could feel the pressure building up, and we knew at half time we were in for it. So it's just to come back out second half, and again we didn't play well, but we've not conceded and we've managed to nick a goal, 3 points, and we've just said in there to the lads that we all know it's not good enough from start to finish, but look at the league table at end of the year, hopefully we're in a good position, and 3 points here against Pickering. So regardless of the performance, it's 3 points on the board, and that's the only positive we can really take from it.
And obviously the headline is you getting the hat-trick today with 3 headers. Can you walk us through the goals that you scored?
To be fair, on the first corner, I don't think they weren't marking anyone really. They were trying to do a bit of zonal marking, and I was actually free. So one of the corners come in. I think the first one I've scored, no one's marking me. So it's just a bit of a glancing header, and it's just gone in. The second one, Mac has done really well. Great individual work down the line. He's put a great ball in, and I'm in 6-yard box, and I've headed it in. And again, corner, great ball in from Connor for the third one in back stick, and just nodded it in. So obviously we've got quite a tall team. We've got some lads, Watto, who scored a lot of goals in the game that he played up front in the friendly game. So we know that we're a danger from set pieces, whoever we play against, and it's something that the gaffer mentioned before the game that we've got to utilise if we want to, be successful in this league, because set pieces, defending and attacking are really, really, pivotal for all teams. You can play all the good football you want, but if you batter a team for 60 minutes and concede a set piece, we lose 1-0. So yeah, it's something that we need to focus on a bit more, and I think we could probably score a few more goals from them as well.
And in front of 400 fans today, how relieved was you to score that hat-trick in front
Yeah,
of
I mean, to be fair, and in the second half it was ours to throw away. I never felt, I know they scored 2 goals and they were our mishaps, but I always felt that as long as we stayed, steady at the back, we were going to win the game. And today it's just me that's come up with the goal. I mean, we've had games where Liam Hardy's scored loads of goals, he's missed a few chances today, but the amount of goals that he scored, the points that he saved us, it more than makes up for it. So we all have to chip in. Probably myself need to chip in a bit more, considering my height, and sort of I'm always attacking at set pieces and stuff like that. So yeah, it was good today to get 3 goals.
So they were the interviews after the game. Fair reflection. The players were a little bit, downbeat with their performance. I think they probably felt they could put a little bit more into it, but you know what they say. Good teams still win, even when they're playing not to the standards. Mike.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it quite a few times where we've put in an immense performance in quite a few games this season, and we've not got the points. But even if that wasn't their best performance, we still picked up the 3 points. And I think that winning run in grinding out results is been really good recently. But I think it's good also that they are quite reflective on that, and that even though they have won, the performance wasn't up to scratch. So I think it's good that they've got those really high standards of themselves. And again, with Parry as well, it was critical. There's always sort of critique of the team going into every single game. So it's never settling and trying to take the wins. It's always how they can improve next time. So I think it's really good that they've got that sort of self-reflection, because that's how the team will develop. And yeah, I think it's a really, really strong point. But I think personally it was a really, really good win. And it could have easily gone the other way, but it didn't, and we got the 3 points. And I think moving on into like Yorkshire Amateur, it just showed that winning run, and the team spirit at the minute is really high. And I'm sure the performances will come together. We've still got new players, remember, as well, and they'll be gelling together. And I think it's good that even though we are in this sort of little period of like players gelling together, we've got Vaughn and Liam forming partnerships, Macca with Liam and Vaughn forming partnerships, Danny Burns and Watto forming partnerships. We've got Pico at right back now. I think it's important that we are grinding out results, and that's what we're doing. And I'm sure in good time the performances will follow. So,
and with that comes confidence, and we're putting some good runs together at the minute as well, including obviously we've got another win to talk about. So let's focus on our home form, which before that, I think it took us a while for us to get his first home win against Pontefract, and from our opening 6-7 league games, we only had 1 win at home.
Yeah.
Since the defeat to Dunston, our opponents this Saturday at home, we've gone 6 straight wins. It feels like obviously you've got to consider some of the opposition in there, because for what it's worth, we've played like Stocksbridge, Brid, and Pickering, who are down there, but we've also got some convincing wins over at Cleethorpes and Shildon. It's certainly something that was needed, and maybe a case for long overdue to start, properly utilising the surface of Sandy Lane and getting the home form sorted.
Well, it's not just us who uses it, and I think when you've got away teams, like we've been to some questionable grounds this season, and where the pitches have been quite rough, and that's respective of this level. And I think when teams do come to Sandy Lane and they are playing on such a good surface as what we've got, they are encouraged by that as well. I think a lot of the better football we have seen this season has been on our own turf, and that's because of the surface. So as much as it can work for us, it also works with opposition as well, and that's maybe why some games this season haven't gone our way at home, because it is a good pitch to play on. It's a footballing pitch, not just a smash and grab, or it's not just a long ball or direct sort of pitch. It's made for really short, intense passing because the surface works for it. So, but I think we have cracked it now with the home form. We've kind of gotten over that period where some results weren't going our way, and then we'd get the win, and then next week you go against us again. I think now we've really made it a place to beat us, really, because the performance has been good. We've been grinding out the results, and also it's been good to see more and more fans coming along again. I think it was the 27th, am I right, on the Monday, which really, really big attendance. I noticed that because it took me half an hour to get some chips. But yeah, it was really good to see more fans coming again this season. I think that hopefully that'll be a recurring theme coming towards the closing of the season as well, and hopefully try and push into those playoffs. So it's going to be an exciting finish, I think.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it was an attendance of 672 against Cleethorpes, and obviously a respectable 455 against Pickering. The attendances have been a little bit, started off quite low, but obviously with, momentum and winning brings, more people through the gate, and hopefully, if you're listening now, bring a mate. Let's start packing out Sandy Lane, getting behind the boys, because we're on a real push now, and we're starting to make up for what the earlier parts of the season. Then we'll talk about closing the gap more later on after our next victory. Just before we move on, though, a little bit of a sour note in the game. Obviously, we lost Alex Starchenko to the red card. A pretty soft red card. Probably say that. Obviously, to give some context before people think we finished with 10 men, both players got sent off for coming together. A little bit silly from Alex, but arguably could have both received yellow cards. I think the referee lost a bit of control of that game. How much of a miss will Alex potentially be over the next 3 games?
Yeah, since he came back from his injury about 3 months ago now, he's really moulded himself into that midfield. He's such a threat. The way he picks up the ball and drives with it, his creativity, his skill, it's really impressive. And I think it does give a chance to potentially some players who have not been getting much game time at the minute to really take that opportunity to get into that team. But it'll be interesting to see how Parry mixes it up, because we have got obviously some very good strong depth in sort of the forward positions now. So I'm wondering here if maybe he could he'll potentially drop Vaughn back maybe, and then start one of the either Kianga or Senate Nielsen on the wings, or as a forward with Maka and Hardy. So it'll be interesting to see. I think as much as it is a loss, I think it's a really good opportunity for those players who haven't had as much game time recently to really get into that team. And is it 3 games suspension? That's right. So yeah, it's essentially 3 games to mould yourself into the team and see what you can do. So it does spark the opportunity for sure.
Yeah, Aaron certainly has a chance now. Obviously, he's out of the 2. Obviously, Manny, we want to see more of him because he looks quite lively when we saw him in that little cameo appearance against Sheffield FC. But with Sennett Nielsen, obviously he has the ability to change the game, and I think he did that against at Pickering to an extent in terms of, we got on the ball more. It seemed to wreck their defensive line because two players were now tucking in to sort of mark Aaron's feet and stop him coming in, which made space for Hardy, and we got more. We got into some better pockets of space, and also if you think back to that Cleethorpes game, just what a second half it was because of probably that change and that momentum and how he integrated that and his skill as well. Obviously, he set up two of his crosses led to goals, so it's definitely an opportunity for him. And unfortunately, he didn't make it on the other night. But speaking of the other night, Yorkshire Amateur 1, Worksop Town 2. I was trying to find any sort of link there, and I found a strenuous one. But obviously, we beat Yorkshire Amateur the other night. It was a well-drilled performance. We really grounded it out, and that first 30 minutes of the game could potentially be the first half an hour of football of the season, considering the pitch that we played on and the circumstances. What were your thoughts on that opening for first 45 minutes, Michael?
Well, I think going on the back of them beating Liversedge, who remained all unbeaten all season, that's a big statement. And going into that game on the back of that and taking on that task, I think that first half an hour, we kind of just said, right, we're here to compete. And I think that first goal, obviously, it was coming for a while. We had quite a lot of chances, and then as soon as that goal came in, it kind of shocked Yorkshire Amateur a little bit because you'd think on their surface, being used to that, we just played much better football than them. And I think again with the link-up play, it was really good. Maka again on the left. He's becoming a really, really good wide player. And yeah, I think that team spirit again, just to really push through and try and play good football. But I just the first half an hour was great, and after that first goal, it's like, right, can we get the second now to try and make it a little bit easier? And we do have this sort of recurring theme where we will not get the second or the third killer goal. We will make it a task, but it was good to see it out till half time. And again, you're thinking, right, can we get the early goal in the second half here? And we didn't, and we did put a task on ourselves, but I'm sure we're going to get onto the second half, so I'll not say too much. But I think it's good that even though we are giving ourselves this hard task of seeing out games, I think actually just taking on that challenge and really just being professional with the game management, I think it's been really good. So I was chuffed with Danny Burns. I thought the first two performances, was it Frickley and Pickering? Am I right? First two.
He also played against Cleethorpes.
Yeah. I thought he's just such a big aerial threat. He does the basics so well, and just after such a short amount of time, he's really formed a good partnership with Pico and Watto as well. So I think I'm really encouraged by him. He's still fairly young as well. So I'm really, really encouraged by him. You could see the passion in the goal from the Tigers' view. I think it did really mean a lot, and I think it's good to have someone like him in the team again. And yeah, so that first goal was really good. Again, from a set piece. The set pieces weren't as good as what they were against Pickering, but I think, was it who got the header forward to Danny Burns on the back post? Was it Jack?
Yeah, so obviously Alex put the ball in. Broadhead leapt like a salmon, as he always does. Headed it across the goal, and obviously Burns finished it off at the back post.
Yeah, it's Jack's getting in on the action again. He can't escape it at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, even Jack had a couple of headers in there. I think I said that he had the overhead kick. It actually turned out to be Danny Burns. So I apologise, Danny. But we just it's a useful tool to have, and I think people associate probably aerial ability with the sort of the rougher sides, and but there is, I think there's still an art in football for having some just a beautiful header. I mean, it seems like it's been lost a little bit in modern day football, but as the last four of the last 5 goals have come from somebody's forehead, and they've all been really good, well worked moves. And when you've got quality deliveries like that, it is best to take advantage.
Yeah, I think utilising set pieces and the men that you've got at the back, I think it's really important. And I don't think we saw as much as that at the start of the season, but now we've got those big aerial threats. I think we are really using that, and it's not just the same set piece; it's the variation, it's the different sort of making different runs and having different men on different parts of the box. I think it's really good that the coaching team are taking that serious, and I think that's going to be a big threat going forward as well. I think a lot of teams might be looking at that now and trying to see how they can suss it out. But I think with the variation, it always can work, because you don't just have the one set piece. You have some teams have 10, 15, 20 different ones, and it's seen at the highest level, and obviously it's seen at our level as well. So yeah, I think it'll be very, very important going forward. And like you said, it's really good to see it come off. Like there's something really satisfying by it. It doesn't look massively pretty, but it's tactics, isn't it? It's strategy, and when that works, it does look really good. So,
and sometimes it gets you out of ruts as well. If you are playing like poorly, or you've got your backs against the wall a little bit, like at times at Pickering in that first half.
Yeah,
it can get you out of situations. I mean, it's not just we're talking about attacking corners. I don't think we've conceded many headers or goals from corners either this season due to that height as well. I think we attack the ball really well in both boxes, and it's sort of, I think that height sets the foundations, and I think especially in that game against Yorkshire Amateur, we were obviously on that pitch. You can't really get it down as much and play as we'd like to, but I think the defenders did really well in terms of winning the ball in their area, sort of bringing it down, almost not playing it out from back, just being solely defenders. They then, I know Craig Oggy, the Yorkshire Amateur manager, said that his eyes weren't the only thing that were hurting after the game. His neck was with the ball in the air, but I think they discredit us a little bit, because I think the main tactic for us was to stop them having possession in our half. So it was to win the ball back quickly, then get it up for Liam Hardy or their centre halves to win the headers, which would be Alex and Cody sort of picking up them second balls. And I think one of my biggest credits to Paz from that game was when he switched Broadhead and Cody. So Cody normally plays as a pivot in front of the back four, and Broadhead's more of a box-to-box 8. They sort of switched that, so Cromack played as an advanced 8, and Broadhead was that defensive midfielder winning the headers and sort of winning the tackles in midfield. And I thought that worked extremely well. I think it's the best I've seen Cody play, just to his ball playing abilities. He was in and around the 18-yard box, and he made some really intricate moves to sort of get out of tight situations before laying it off to Pico and either Macro or Vaughn. I don't know what your thoughts are, Michael, but I thought that was an inspired tactical decision.
Yeah, I think Cody's really got a real good ability on the ball, and I think utilising that, like Starchenko has as well. I think utilising those sort of players in more advanced areas is really important. And although Cody is brilliant in front of the back four as well, to provide that sort of cover, but also to also pass it from deep with the long balls, I think trying to inspire with like switches to the wings, and trying to like zigzag it through the midfield with short passes, I think it's really important. So that little switch was, I think did make a big difference. I think Cody's got he's got the ability to run with the ball as well, to try and run into space. And I don't think he's not really been presented with that opportunity as much this season, because being more central is going to get defended more easily. So actually just being on one side of the midfield in a more advanced space, you are going to get that opportunity. And I mean, like you said earlier, with the defenders just doing the basics, I think it's good that now with the forwards that we have, when we are clearing it, the forwards are gambling, and it's not just a knock over the defence where it just goes back to the keeper. We've got Mako, we've got Vaughn, we've got Liam, always pressing the ball, and I think it's so hard to defend against, because you don't really get a moment to really pass it, and obviously that's what didn't work for Yorkshire Amateur, especially in the first half. I thought the first half they had that one opportunity which was from a mistake by us. So I don't think they really got into the game in the first half. It was only until the second half they really came out fighting. But again, it's that sort of team spirit that when we are in the game, we do push on, and we don't just concede opportunities all the time. I think Seb's been a big part of that as well. I think he's been really, really pivotal in goal recently, especially after some of the unfortunate circumstances he's been in with like certain injury, etc. I won't go too much into that, but I think he's been really, really good and really professional about it. So yeah, I think overall the team's just really solid at the minute. We look like a team. That's the big sort of statement here. And yeah, I think Cody's played a really big part. Paz had a lot of good things to say about him, and I think now Starchenko is going to be serving this suspension. I think we're probably going to see Cody in that advanced area again, pushing further upfield, because he's going to be a key midfielder. We're driving the ball and trying to source those opportunities.
I think the transition from Cody has pretty much gone from Andre Pirlo to David Silva in sort of the positional sense. Obviously, I don't want to discredit Cody by dragging him down to their level, obviously, but we've covered that now. As you mentioned, the wingers, they got out wide, and I thought Maka, again, you've already mentioned it, but he was absolutely fantastic. With Liam Hardy, obviously we've recorded some new goal gifts. We're still waiting for Liam now to score, and so we can utilise them. But I think we've mentioned it a little bit before. I think it will more with Luke, so I want to get your thoughts on this, Michael. But it just emphasises how important Liam Hardy is, where he's not really he didn't really get into any goal scoring opportunity areas, but how pivotal he was in terms of bringing the ball down, bringing others into play. It's just another part of his game for a remarkable player.
Yeah, he's such a positive player. He's a very old school forward, but the way he presses the ball, and the way he'll never give the defender that much time on the ball, it's really good. And it's that urgency throughout all the game. I mean, I think the last two games he's kind of run himself into the ground, hence why he got subbed both times. He did get subbed both times, didn't he? Got subbed against Pickering as well, right? Yeah,
I mean, you got to remember he is 34, even though he's playing like he's still a 21-year-old bursting out of the academy. But he's just he just reminds me of an old-fashioned centre forward, a proper a proper workhorse. He's someone that you can build a team around almost, even at this stage of his career, because he's still prolific. He's still got the legs. I mean, we've seen the run against Frickley. He's misleading a little bit because he doesn't. He carries the ball so well. He's so strong, and he doesn't look it. But yeah, sorry, I feel like I've just cut you up there. But if you want to continue, he's just I can't express my admiration more for him. I think he's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, you're right. He's a breath of fresh air still, even though he's been here for a couple of months now. He still feels like a breath of fresh air, and I think that sort of partnership that he's building with Vaughn and Macca now, it's a really, really potent front three. You could see the organisation with the press as well. It's when they're switching it to the right back, Macca's pressing. It's when they switch it to the left back, it's Vaughn pressing. It's very organised. It's disciplined, and they all work for each other as well. And they're really good at linking up. I mean, particularly Macca, when he's driving with that ball on the wide. On the left, sorry, Liam's getting into the right positions, and it's only just that sort of ball in that sometimes it's stopping us from getting the goal. I think we're getting into the right positions, but I think sometimes when we get into those positions and we have to find the right pass, but I think it's just really good to see that sort of attacking threat. And obviously Liam's a big part of that, and I think we're just going to keep seeing more and more of that. And hopefully, starting tomorrow with some goal gifts as well, because I hope I've not given him some stage fright, because we did numerous gifts, so I'm expecting to see them.
I mean, he's still got to get to 30 for me. Come on, we got to do it. I'm just saying some of them deliveries are coming from, like Macca's just seems he's found a newfound intelligence. All of that was just the first half, Michael.
Oh yeah.
The second period started a little bit flat. I think Yorkshire Amateur came into it a little bit towards the end of the first half and carried that through. What do you think was the change from Yorkshire Amateur? Do you think it was just a natural progression of the football match, or do you think they just came out the better side?
Yeah, I mean, it's natural. If you go in at 1-0, the other team's still got a chance. They're going to come out fighting, and that's what they did. I don't necessarily think they were better than what they did in the first half. I just feel like we gave them more of an opportunity, and then that's how they got the goal. The goal was, I don't think it was really anyone's fault. I think it was just one of those that he's had a shot. The keeper's really kind of blindsided with numerous players in front of him. I don't think there's much you can do about him. It was a period where there was a lot of pressure on us with set pieces and them keeping the ball in our half. So I think it's just the natural sort of progression of the football of the game. Sorry, like you mentioned, but I think kind of once we got over that period, yes, we did concede the goal, but we didn't succeed to it. We just thought, right, we've got a task on our hands here, and again, we've just seen that team spirit that we've seen in many games recently, where we're fighting for the win. It's not about the performance. It's not about individual players. It's fighting as a team and getting that win. And it was a graft. I mean, I had a feeling. You can say I didn't, but I did have a feeling that we was going to get that opportunity. And then when we did, I thought, and Tomo blocked it on the line. I thought, right, that's it. And then somehow it just slivered its way through. But yeah, I just think again after that sort of first 15 minutes, I think after the 60th minute, or pretty much after they scored their goal, I thought that's when we kind of switched on and said, right, we need to win this game here, because the 3 points are so important at the minute. It's getting to that business side of the season now, isn't it? So we need to pick up as many points, and I think that's the main. You can see that's the main motive in a lot of the performances this season. But yeah, I think Yorkshire Amateur, I thought I thought you wouldn't think that was the team that beat Liverpool 2-0 on Saturday. I think I struggle to believe that. But football changes by the game, doesn't it? And I think it just shows that we can compete with the best in the division. And yeah, I'm not discouraged by that at all. I think the game management has been so good. I'm kind of going crazy here.
Don't worry, keep so many superlatives. Let's keep going. If you want me to just come into that, I think I like your optimism because I'm so pessimistic, as people probably know. And when you were feeling like it's going to come for Worksop, I was on the other side thinking, oh, these are the type of games that a Worksop Town side of past would have probably lost. And I think it's not just been any tactical changes or as stepping up. I think it's been a complete mentality change. I think there's a lot more steel in the mind of the team currently compared to at the start of the season. I feel like even though Danny Burns is still younger, obviously he's 24, is a little bit more mature, and I feel like he's got that the knowledge to be able to cement himself and focus. I think Vaughn's only 23, and he plays beyond his years, and I think he's got that little bit of bite, that little bit of nastiness. It's something that you need, and I think especially in this division you need players like this, and players that can Vaughn loves to bollock a player, but he'll also go and put his arm around you. He's very bipolar in that sense sometimes, but he I think he's brilliant, and when he uses his abilities like that. I mean, his goal, I don't think I get as much credit because I think I spent as much time celebrating as and as soon as the goal went in, you obviously got crackers because everyone loves a last minute winner, and I nearly fell on my backside. And and then, but obviously he, as you mentioned, Tomo probably thought he was still in goal. Great save on the line to deny Jack, but when the ball came to Vaughn, just took 2 touches to get it out of his feet, and then found top corner. It was a brilliant goal, and the scenes afterwards that you captured were absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, I think it's like you just said, it was such a brilliant goal, but I think it's a good statement from Paz as well. I think he could have easily made some substitutions there and changed things, but he didn't. He kept certain players on, and that sort of discipline to go right to the end, especially after playing a full 90, and to score a goal like that, I think it's really, really impressive. And I think that's a credit to Paz as well in not changing that sort of threat up front, apart from Tomo. But I think Tomo was more for experience. I think obviously he's a brilliant player, and he's got such a big potency for a goal as well. So I think he was brought on to kind of add that extra edge, but then it opened more gaps up for the wings. And I think Vaughn, he didn't have the most chances in the game, but to have that essentially as your first shot in the game, and that sort of composure, I thought was really good. I mean, I couldn't even track it with a camera. It was that good because it was just so out of nowhere. I thought that was it once Tomo walked it on the line, but as soon as it went through, I just saw the ball and I was like, right, I best pan across here. But I just thought the defender was going to sweep away with it. But yeah, no, it was brilliant composure, really good scenes in the way ends as well. It felt like an home game with the celebrations because we just brought quite a lot of fans again, and yeah, I can't remember the last time before that, how long it's been for a last minute winner. So it's really good. So it's the nice moments in football, and yeah, that was one of them.
Yeah, I actually wonder when we last scored a last minute winner to win a decisive game. I mean, I think we scored late before, but that'll be in like 3-1 or 3-0 victories or getting a 2-0 win. I think the go-to last-minute winner has to be Vankovic's goal against Bottisford in that title-winning season. But enough reminiscing. I don't think Tomo was doing it on purpose either. He if you watch it back, the ball in obviously were dealt with by the goalkeeper, and Tomo would have been in a perfect position to finish it off had the goalkeeper not tried to intervene. And it was just unfortunate it was in the position. I think Tomo, as always, is that jovial player. He's everyone's team spirit's high, and he's probably looking back now. Obviously, now it went in, we could just have a laugh and a joke about it, and I think he'd appreciate it. He'd love that anyway. I mentioned about runs earlier, which is the only time I do mention running. We've won 6 straight games in all competitions, 5 in the league. We've started to obviously when before these games in hand and before the Cleethorpes game, the playoffs were starting to look a little bit of a stretch, and especially third as well. Since then, we've managed to close the gap. We've still got a game in hand over the top 5. We are 4 points behind 5th placed Cleethorpes Town and 4th placed Stockton Town, and we are 5 points below Shildon in 3rd. How important was it to pull ourselves back into this position after such a sluggish start? I want to say without putting too discrediting some of the wins and performances early on. Well,
that top 6 was looking really safe until we started getting in there, and I think obviously the back-to-back wins, the winning run has been so important in that. It just changes the dynamic of the season so much, and now we are in there. I think it shows a big statement. We are yet to play some of the big boys like Liversidge, and it's going to be interesting to see. But I think Paz says it well in the interviews. We do take it game by game, performance by performance, trying to improve by the game. And I think, again, that'll be the same case tomorrow. So, yeah, Dunston, it's going to be the 3rd time. It's going to be interesting to see how we're going to set up against them and try and edge them this time. But I'm sure you've got a little bit from Paz on this one.
Yeah, let's say from Vaughn, Redford and Craig Parry on Tuesday night's victory before looking ahead to Saturday's trip.
So Vaughn, obviously you're the match winner with that last minute winner. That must have felt brilliant.
I think it's been coming, to be fair, for a few weeks, but I haven't been getting luck in front of goal. But tonight I've took that chance, and I got close first half with a lob, but fortunately I've got the winning goal. But I think Tomo's cleared one offline, so I think he's buzzing. I've finished it off. But
so an assist for Tomo there. What was going through your mind as it fell to you? Just get it on target.
Just get it on target, hit it, and it's gone in. Buzzing.
Over the course of the game, do you think we deserved that?
Overall, yeah, I think we dominated first 30 minutes, first half, and they came back at us. But second half we started bright, then seemed to drop off again. But the lads have dug in. As togetherness is superb, and we grind teams down and get the result, and that's all important. 3 points.
Obviously, in the first half, it started off as a battle. I suppose that sort of suits your game, doesn't it?
I don't mind a battle, to be fair, but I think on this pitch you've got to play areas, and that's what got Spocker in changing room. And you've got to hit areas, and that's what we've done well, and came out with it all 3 points. So
obviously, we're on a great run now. The confidence must be high in there.
I think all the togetherness and team spirit is absolutely first class, and we just keep taking game by game and ticking each game off as it comes, and don't get too ahead of ourselves. We just keep taking game by game and hopefully get us max points.
Obviously the stat that Paz has been telling us that you've said in there is that we've won every game since you returned.
You shouldn't have mentioned that, Dev.
How would you assess your start so far?
I think it's been a good start, and I haven't lost a game since I've been here, and I'm enjoying it. It's team spirit's good, like I said, and we keep picking up results, and that's what I've come here to do, and keep winning football matches.
Obviously on Saturday we've got a long trip up to Newcastle. Obviously the lads will be on the coach together. The morale hopefully will carry us. What are you expecting from that game?
Definitely, it's going to be a tough game. They've defeated us twice, but we go there with full of confidence. We're in good spirit as a team, and we've got nothing to fear, and we'll take them as it comes and be on front foot hopefully.
So Craig, Vaughn's last minute winner.
Yep.
2-1 victory, another 3 points for your side.
Yep.
Just summarise that game, how was that for you?
Well, I think we're in control of the game all the way through. I think we made one ever, it cost us a goal. But apart from that, I don't see any chances to create, really. I think we've played the perfect performance. Really pleased for being there. Obviously it's more pleasing obviously when you get a last minute winner. But I think overall, I think we were well deserved the 3 points.
Obviously the first half was a battle, but one that your side edged. How do you think your side conducted themselves in that first 45 minutes?
Yeah, I think they played to game plan. Obviously we've come here today, and let's not kid ourselves. It's a very difficult place to come to. You look at their own record that they've got. It's probably one of the best home records in the league. So such a difficult place to come to. And we had to stick to a game plan. There's no way we're going to come here and string 3 or 4 different passes together, outside our own box and start playing that way. We've got to play in the final third, and the lads played, really to the game plan. And I thought, especially the first half, I thought we went in 1-0 up, and it probably could have been 2 or 3.
Obviously, the second half saw a little bit of drop in levels. What do you think was the contrast to the first half?
Well, I think they came out and obviously stepped it up. So I think you're always going to have to, ride a couple of waves from the home side coming at you. But I think even the second half, you look at the last 15. We're on the attack. It's waving. To be honest with you, I think the goal were coming. And to be fair to Vaughn's, to be fair, I'm so glad he scored today, because his performances have been unreal since he's come back to us, and he fully deserves that goal. I'm really pleased for him. But you saw the chance there before then. It's an open goal, and it's our player that actually clears it offline.
In the first half especially, but probably overall, Cody seemed to obviously play us in the pivot, but seemed to be a little bit more advanced. Was that intended? And what were your thoughts on his performance?
Yeah, we obviously switched the midfield round today, and I think credit to Cody. I mentioned last time on the last interview I did. He was unfortunate to come off the last game just due to obviously the referee side of things. I thought he was the best player for 45 minutes in the last game. Fortunately, I had to make a decision on behalf of the team, and today we switched him around because obviously the pitch ain't going to suit him in the defensive side of things, but we wanted him to play in front of their back four, get on the ball and move it. So once we got it into the final third, we need then the quality on the ball and to be able to move it and open teams up. And I thought today, if anything, he probably was the man of the match.
Obviously, they always say that the biggest game is the one next, and we've got to go up to Dunston now. How much of a boost will that be? Will tonight's victory be with that long journey ahead?
Yeah, look, let's not get carried away. It's obviously pleasing tonight. I'm buzzing for the lads in there. I really am. They're on a good run of form. They're a good bunch of lads. They're an honest bunch of lads, and I'm delighted for them. Really, I really am delighted for them. I couldn't ask to manage a better set of lads, really. And going into the next game, we've just got to take it game by game. It's a big month, January is a big month. We've got 3 down now, 8 games. We've chalked 3 off, and now we've got to obviously take on Saturday and go up there to another difficult game, another difficult pitch, another difficult stadium to go to. We've already got a game plan where we're going to go up there, and hopefully the lads can take that, adapt to it, and hopefully come away with 3 points again. But it's another difficult game for us.
Obviously, in Dunston, you've got the sort of not privilege because of the results, but you've seen them twice now. How they react at home, how they react away. Obviously, 2 disappointing results for our side. What lessons did you take from those 2 games? Lessons.
I don't think I ain't really. I'll be honest with you, I ain't really taking anything from the games. They've been complete two different two different games. You know, up there we played. I'll be honest with you, probably one of the best we played up there. we should have come away with 3 points. We made a mistake in the last minute. We conceded a last minute goal. But our place were well beaten. Hands up. The best. So I can't really take anything out of the game. I think we just got to go up there. Obviously we've seen and watched the last couple of games. We've got to go up there and play our way now. We're a different side to when we played them the last 2 times. You look at the team sheets, what we put out then to where we are now. We are a different side. So we've got to go up there and take the game to them and hopefully come away with 3 points.
And also just to it sort of sticks in the back of your head anyway. But if you think about the Frickley's last minute winner, got that redemption. Yorkshire Amateurs 3-0 victory. Got a redemption today. Yeah. Will your side be hopefully using that frustration built from that game into that game?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, 100%. And we tried to use that little bit of spirit today. And to be fair to them, I like Yorkshire Amateurs. I like the management team, the well organised team. And obviously well organised club. They seem to run it right, and I've got a lot of time for them. But yeah, obviously once you get a little bit of a whip on the backside, should I say, especially in your own territory, try and use that in your talk, like which I did here. And yeah, we wanted to, give them a little bit of their own medicine, what they gave at us at our place, and exactly the same with Dunston. The talk will be exactly the same. We want revenge, and we want to try and take points off them and keep the run that we're on now going.
So on Saturday we'll be waving to the Angel of the North as we travel to Newcastle to face Dunston. They're currently sitting 8th. And are 8 points behind us at the minute. They're one of the teams that, along with Ossett and Yorkshire Amateur, that we was chasing. Now we're in a better position. At the points when we played them, obviously we lost 3-2 in the FA Trophy. And if it wasn't, I thought we were good value in the second half, especially. And if it wasn't for that mistake at the end, then we may have got that got to extra time and penalties. Alas, we didn't. And, it gives a little bit of spirit going into Dunston at home, but they absolutely blew us away with that 3-0 defeat. I think it was that they are probably the best side that I've seen play against us in terms of just completely limiting what we were doing and bossing the game. Michael, a chance for revenge, may I say?
Yeah, I think we've seen it on quite a few similar pitches this season. We can compete physically on those pitches. I think the home game, I think it's an exception here because it's the surface. It is encouraging to both teams, and on that particular game, they took it more. So I think at their ground, it's a big opportunity. We've got that team spirit now. We've got that confidence of winning games. I think it's going to be very, very close tie. But for me, I just want to see a big performance. As much as I want the 3 points, I want to see a big performance because that FA Trophy game away, the first half, we just encouraged them. We kind of said, right, we're just gonna succeed to your press here or your attacking threat. So I really want us to really make a statement in the first half, like we did against Yorkshire Amateur, to really control the game, to have a really, really good attacking shape, and I'm sure we will. It's going to be good on the team bus. Spirits are going to be high. So yeah, I'm just, for me, it's the first half performance again to really put a stamp on the game, and then hopefully get the goals as well, which haven't been that much of a problem recently. So it's going to be an entertaining tie. We'll see how they do as well. But I'm just looking forward for a good away day, on the bus. We've had some good trips up that part of England this season. So,
indeed, I mean, the last time we went up to North East was Mask, and that the 3-point turn that the coach had to do and the sort of reverse parking into the ground still gives me nightmares. But we've been to Dunston before. We've actually been to Dunston 3 times in the last 10 years. One friendly, one FA Vars game that we beat them, and obviously the FA Trophy game that we lost in. So we're quite familiar with Dunston. They are on a little bit of a patchy run, may I say. Obviously, the last time out they got a draw with Ossett on Saturday, and they actually beat Marsk the week before that. So two all right results, but before that, they had losses against Hebburn, Brighouse, Pickering, Shildon, Bridlington before that victory against Stockbridge Park Steels at the end of November. They are largely inconsistent at times, but their home form is rather good. They are the sixth best home team in terms of performance. They've won 7 of their 10 games at home, lost the other 3. How much effort do we need to put in, Michael, to make sure that that's 4 defeats in 11 games at home?
Yeah, it's a must win for us and for them. So it's going to be an entertaining tie. We need absolutely everything from each individual player. I think sometimes in quite a few games it's been like 100% from certain players, and I think now we've kind of rectified that. We're seeing really good performances from every member of the team, and they're all playing for each other as well. They're all pushing each other through. I think being pitch side, especially with the camera, you see that sort of interaction. Watto is a big voice in that, and Pico as well. We've got some really good team spirit at the minute. I'm sure the effort will be there. It has been for quite a while now. The way we go into games, I think it's been really good. So I personally think, I don't think we've got any worries in that. I just think it's going to be interesting with how the game's going to go, who makes that threat, who makes that statement first. Because I think that's a big sort of part of a football game. Who's going to do it first? Because that's the statement, isn't it? It's who's going to be on the conceding side first. So I hope it's not us. Hope we get that first goal. The first goal's been very important, and not letting it go to the 60th minute or the 70th minute, the 80th minute, because that's when the pressure really comes. So I think that first goal is really important, and I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not going to say anything. But hopefully we do get that and try and make it a little bit easier for ourselves. Because last time, obviously, they got the first goal and we were chasing the game, and even though we got back level, they just came back at us again. So I think we need to make that statement first this time. So hopefully we will.
Well, I've tried to make a statement in that I'm not going to listen to Sam Fender until after the game, as a battle of the North now. But they do have a Northern spirit, and as you mentioned, the likes of Watto, when we've got battlers in there, and they that's needed when it's sort of a rough game. Just focusing on other teams around us as well. Obviously, Shildon have not enjoyed too much luck of late. Recently, they lost the last game to Liversedge. Before that, a 2-2 draw with Stockbridge. Then a defeat before that, a 1-0 defeat to Stockton, a 4-0 defeat to Pickering. Before beating our opponents on Saturday 2-1. That was their last victory of the 11th of December. They're on a bit of a bad run. Mm-hmm. So, Bax, if you're listening, can you score a couple to help us out here? Because they travel to Sheffield. Stockton have got more of a favourable tie against Lincoln United, and Cleethorpes face Ossett United, which we've mentioned about how we've pulled ourselves back in there through sheer determination, hard work. We just need that little bit of luck now for the other teams to start dropping points.
Yeah, I think that's happening as well. 4 points between 6th and 5th now, so we're up there. We're in that mix, and even though we're in that top 6 mix now, it's also the teams below as well with 5 points. And with a game of hands ahead of Ossett, and further that 8 points and another game of hands in against. So we're pulling away from the rest, but we're also pushing into that top 6 now. So yeah, it's going to be interesting and final half of this season. But I think is what Paz always mentions in most interviews. It's taking it game by game, looking at the opposition, and what threat we can pose to each team. So yeah, I think Saturday it's just going to be another game. The priority is the 3 points, a good performance, the statement, and I think we've got to do it because 2 defeats against Dunston this season, they'll be going into it with going into the game with that as confidence, knowing that they've beaten us twice this season. So I think we've really got to take that and take the game to them. So it's going to be an interesting one.
Redemption is such a good word, and we've obviously had, we lost to Frickley with that last-minute goal that we'll not mention more than just once in this episode. We'll have we had the 3-0 opening defeat to Yorkshire Amateur, beat them last time out. There's that chance for revenge this weekend, hopefully, and it feels like as we mentioned, the mentality of the squad seem to be, holding them grudges and getting in there. But we'll put a line under that now because I feel like I've bored you enough, Michael. Obviously, on Tuesday night we face Rossington Main. We've done a couple of previews now for that, so I've got something a little bit different with Russell Sheppard of Rossington Main, their media guy. He obviously has some connections with Worksop, doing photography in the past. So it was a really, really good tie for him. So here's a little segment with him, getting to know Rossington Main. Thank you for joining us on the Tiger Talk podcast. When the draw got made, you obviously expressed your delight because of the Worksop connection. I didn't know if it'd be a nice start just to explain why you were so happy to get the draw with that Worksop connection.
Yeah, before it even made, I was wanting it to come out as Rosso Worksop because I know quite a few people in Worksop, as I started out as a photographer at Worksop Town when I think it was just when before they got relegated down the leagues. They were in which league were they in before they got relegated?
So in the Northern Premier Division before voluntary relegation to NCL.
Yeah, Mark Shaw were gaffer then, I think.
Yep.
Like Jack Muldoon, people like that were there. And then started out there, did a few seasons with Worksop. Did quite well, to be fair. And then I did a season at Gainsborough. And then I got my Football League licence working for non-league paper quite often. And then I did quite a few jobs for Sheffield United and Donny Rovers and etc. before I went very well, and then went back to Rosso where I lived again at the time, and I've been there ever since. Even though I live in Redford now. So.
and with Rosso, what is your role at the club? What do you do? I know it's obviously a lot of media on that side as well.
Yes, I started back at Rossington, well Rosso as we call it, in God's Village. It's been about 4-5 years ago now, 4 years, something like that. Went up very well. Just started back as a photographer, getting back into photography because I'd been doing Football League to Rosso basically, and then I ended up helping out doing the program. I do the Twitter, do the we share the graphics now. Though we've got someone else helping do the graphics. We've got someone else helping to do the program now. Do the website as well. Just turn up basically, mate, and make a nuisance of myself most days. Help out where I can. So they're getting more and more people in to help, which is great because to start with it was just the same people, but now is more people helping out at the club. It's starting to build something.
Yeah, in the league clubs, it seems to sometimes be either just one person, but when you can get a good foundation, it seems it's good and it thrives. And probably a success of that as well as Rosso are doing quite well in the league. They're currently 6th. And over previous years, I remember Rossington sort of being further down the leagues. What's changed this season, and how would you sum up this season so far for you for the Main?
we've just hit a bit of a sticky patch, to be fair, before Christmas, and had a few games called off. But we've had quite a lot of injuries before. I think we had about 9 or 10 out injured. So I think we've had Manny back from Worksop as well. I think it's on loan. I don't know, for a couple of games, and we've lost a few other players as well. But yeah, it's the season I've ever seen us have. We're having a good season. The season before COVID hit, we were doing really well. But Ben and Matt's, they're getting young players who are hungry, and then adding a little tiny bit of experience dotted around the place, and they're thriving. They play football really well as well. It's a delight to watch, to be honest. It's fantastic to see. But it's genuinely the best Rosso team I've ever seen since I've been there.
Yeah, obviously you mentioned Manny. He obviously has had a bit of an unfortunate start at Worksop. Made a bench appearance, and then started against Sheffield FC. That got abandoned. So he's found it hard to get back into the side. How's he done so far?
Well, I missed the Saturday because I was working, but when they won 3-0 against Clipstone. But I'm a big fan of Manny's. I like his. He usually he's raw, as I always say. He's got pure raw pace and energy. He'll break down the wing, and when he cuts in, he usually puts one in top corner. Like 8 or 9 times out of 10, he'll put one in top corner easily. So I'm a big admirer of Manny's, to be honest.
Hopefully we get to see it soon as well. Another player, if Worksop fans are looking on any like past squads and that, is Kean Johnson. Kean obviously got played understudy to Seb Malkowski for us. How's Kean done?
Yeah, amazing, mate. He played a few games last season, and then he come in properly in pre-season, and he's been outstanding. To be fair, he rarely puts a foot wrong. I can't blame him for anything. We had a bit of a we imploded at one game at Selby where we were 2-0 up and got beat 4-2 in the last 20 minutes. But he was left exposed for a couple of them goals, and there was nothing he could do. But honestly, he makes great saves. He commands his area. He's for 8. I think he's 18, 19. He's fantastic, mate. He's a class player.
And a player that joined us as well, Adam Watson. I know from our conversations you were a big fan of him. What was he like at Rosso?
Yeah, I love Watto, to be fair. He's a class player. He started up front for us, and then the season after, I think he played like centre half, and I didn't know which position I preferred him in, to be honest, because I liked him in both. If we could have had 2 Wattos, I'd have had 2 Wattos, to be fair. But yeah, he's been doing. I know he took that bad head injury, didn't he, a few weeks ago, playing for you guys.
Yeah, he seems all right now, and obviously he's put in some really good performances as well since coming back in. It's been really good. Moving on to more of the Sheffield Senior Cup, as obviously it's the semi-finals. Rossington have had 2 really good results, and I don't know if you're going to just explain how that obviously the games against Stocksbridge and Hallam went. But obviously on the face of it, really, really good for your side.
Yeah, to be fair, we battered both of them in a nice way. We actually just took them to town, both of them. I think in all fairness, I think we're Hallam's bogey team because we seem to put 4 or 5 past him quite often. And from when we drew him the other week, we equalised in the last seconds, which wound them up, which wound your old manager up dense. We seem to just hammer him for some reason. I don't know why. But they're flying as well in the league, so I don't want to really flag them off. So dense.
Obviously, the 2 games had some Worksop connections as well. Anyway, obviously Michael Trench scored 2 for Stocksbridge before you obviously came back from 2-0 down to win. And then obviously Hallam's littered with ex-Worksop town players, especially from that double winning season. Does that send out a message to Worksop to not sort of, obviously we're the highest team left in the competition anyway, but we were for a couple of rounds now. Does that sort of send out a warning sign, do you think, that, Rossington won't take any prisoners, they won't roll over, they'll not, just because the team's higher up, they're not going to roll over and that?
They definitely won't roll. If we've got a full team out, mate, they won't roll over. They won't change the way they play. We'll try and pass through you basically to goal. We'll just play our own way. It's a bit like NCEL Division 1 Man City in a way, but we don't score as many. But we'll try and pass it through you, and that's how we play, and we'll stick to it, stick to our guns.
I'm sure it's going to be entertaining anyway. I mean, we've already had a little bit of that in the last round against Handsworth when they went 2-0 up. So if I could push you for a prediction, Russ, what would you go for?
That's good, yeah. 2-1 Rosso. I'm on your Tigers podcast. I apologise, but yeah, I'm a Rosso boy.
You've got to stick to your guns. I appreciate it, Russ. Thanks for coming on.
I'll take too much flack if I went against Rosso, so I'm not.
But yeah, that's it for this week. Obviously, if you're travelling up to Newcastle, hopefully you have a safe trip there, whether you're listening to us on the way up now or in preview ahead of the tie. Don't forget there's live updates if you can't make it on the Twitter page. Give us a follow. Also give us a follow on Instagram. We're slowly making us way up to 3,000 followers, so thank you for your support. Like the Facebook page, you know, that's where all the news everywhere on our social platforms. Michael's obviously got a Tigers View out at the minute, so go and watch that. Thank you for joining me, Michael. How's it been for yourself?
Yeah, it's been good. Good to be back. Definitely want to do one with all three of us. I also want to do one with a player as well. I feel like there's I don't know. I feel like it'd be quite interesting to do one collectively with a player, but I don't think they have as much time as we do. So
yeah, surprisingly, people have lives outside football.
Yeah.
What is this all about?
Not everyone
but anyway,
not everyone can be dotting students like us. So.
But yeah, so we'll leave it under that. Obviously, since we became a trio on the podcast, we've not done a podcast as a trio. So yeah, that'll be interesting to have. Obviously, guests to come up. So look on any posts that we do for asking for questions or anything like that. So now, all that's left to say is up the Tigers, Michael.
Up the Tigers.